So I think I don't particularly go after travel tech specifically. What I do like to go and read is information about innovation in general. I'm very keen on sustainability and sustainable profits, so I really try to find articles and interesting information about that. Also with regards to mobility and the future of what's going to happen tomorrow. So anything from Skiff to Focusrite and all the other travel shows that have interesting publications are some of the media that I look at. But LinkedIn, I think, is a wealthy source of information. So I'm coming to BTO in Italy on the end of the month. So on the 28th and 29th and 30th in Italy. So that's my next show that I'm going to speak at. Total profitability, sustainable profits, metaverse, immersive experiences, revenue generation, revenue retention, innovation. These are some of them. I like to try different ones, so I have been experiencing different ones every single week, just trying to see what they do and how smart they are, And but being completely frank with you, I think that the apps that I actually use the most for traveling is obviously Google Calendar, making sure I've got all my meetings in place, and then I tend to find hotels, website that gives me points, so I can use them for my convenience when I want them. I always try to buy on .com, but sadly, most hotels aren't able to actually have price integrity, which is a terrible thing, because if you're going to Booking and your price is more expensive than Booking and there's no differentiation on your website for me to actually decide to book with you, there's no reason why I should book with your .com as a consumer. So unless the hotels are actually providing better value for money on their .com, I end up going to one of the big players that can consolidate my spend and give me something in return. Yes, that's a great question, because I have invested and I think it's a very interesting and risky business. However, I think there's obviously great risk, great opportunities, so therefore I think in the long run it will pay off. I think that if you think about cryptocurrency and more specifically tokenization, I think that there's room for the use of tokenization on rooms, for example. So I think where we're going with revenue management and total profitability is really taking hotels to a point where you can actually tokenize each one of the rooms and charge different values, because at the end of the day, a token is something you can't really replicate, it's unique. So it's exactly the same thing that happens with the room. So if you can actually tokenize the rooms and give them different values depending on heat maps or the actual interest that they drive on your .com, you could potentially really capture a lot more value in the property. So, and then that also goes beyond room pricing, but I think there's a massive role of cryptocurrency in the loyalty programs. So I think that the tokenization of loyalty programs is definitely a massive trend, and I think that that's going to be something that's going to completely change how loyalty programs operate and how they run their currency, their spend, and the fluctuation of value of redemptions will be highly affected by that. And I think the role that BEONx will have in it will be, how can you actually price those tokens for loyalty or for rooms individually, so you can actually try and retain more profitability when you're putting those assets into the market. I've been following very closely what's happening in the metaverse, because there's a massive opportunity for hotels to actually get prepared for it. But unfortunately, even at the Metaverse Assembly in Dubai a couple of months ago, when you ask the audience of 700 people how many of them have daily usage of the metaverse, we're really talking about 3 to 4%, which is a very low usage. So therefore, I think that there's a massive space for companies that are going to be using immersive technology that are potentially 3D content and taking it into Web 2, traditional browsers, mobiles, iPads, to actually experience what you would expect in the metaverse into a technology that can actually be used right now without the constraints of technology that exists in this point in time. It absolutely does, and actually, this is going to sound very passionate, but since I'm Brazilian, I will allow myself. I will allow myself to say it. It actually does, and one of the things that also, not just in the choice, but when I am in a hotel, for example, right here in Focusrite, with the beautiful property, but when there is the use of single-use plastic, it's really, it really gets to me in a strong way. And I think that there's a lot that can be done in the industry and hasn't been done, and that has a massive impact on profitability and also on sustainability. So if you change, dispensers versus using single-use plastic, you have a massive impact on the revenue that the hotels have actually already gained from the market. So how can hotels actually use the resources better and retain more revenue? I think it's highly underrated, and I think it's not really being taken seriously enough by large brands and small brands. And I think there's massive potential to actually grow profitability on hotels with very simple actions, such as skipping room cleaning or skipping towel change or skipping sheet changes, and those things can have a massive impact on revenue instantly, more so than a lot of platforms that you see out there. So I think that in our vision, we really want to foster that with hotels and take them towards more of a holistic approach on revenue and profitability to help them to get there faster, more effectively, more sustainably, and really build this sustainable, profitable future. It depends how you look at it, because if you think of hotels in general, and if you think about let's say, the C-level is still, I think, I still feel there's a lot of men in the boardroom. I think hospitality specifically is very diverse. I think it's very inclusive, and I think that there's more and more women, breaking the glass ceiling and coming into the boardroom, being incredible at what they're doing, and really changing the perception of how women act in hospitality. I find it amazing because women have a really different outlook on different things, and the way that they manage their properties, it's very interesting. It's very different. Sometimes a lot more, I would say, a lot more holistic than men, and they've got sense of sensitivity that I think really shows through a brand when you have a woman driving a brand. So I'm a big fan, and I think that it's happening more and more. But I don't think we have necessarily a problem. I think we have a legacy of a problem that most, there's generations that they've been senior for 30, 40 years. They're still at the front of a lot of brands, and it will take time for the women that are actually in hospitality to come up to higher positions. But I think we don't have a problem. It's more of a timing issue than an inclusion or diversity issue. That's my take on it.